What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, as you guys can see, we are on the NFL playoff machine. Guys, I'm super excited to do this video. The Detroit Lions beat the Chicago Bears yesterday, 34-30, put them at 5-7, kept their postseason hopes alive. In today's video, we're going to be running through these scenarios on how the Lions can make the playoffs by record. So what if they only go 7-9? Can they still make the playoffs? How about 8-8? What about 9-7? What teams do you need to watch? And what is the most important game left on the Lions schedule? Let's get this started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here and I'm excited to do this video. I was waiting to do this video. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do one of these, but I was just waiting for the Lions to win. I'm like, Lions, you got to win before I can do a playoff scenario video. And now that they have, now that we're 1-0 under Darrell Bevell, there's some excitement maybe, just some excitement with this team. So the question is, can they write a book about us? Can the Lions do the unthinkable and get into the postseason? Can they do it? Let's talk about the scenarios. So the first scenario we're going to be looking at is 7-9. But before we get into the scenarios, I want to tell you guys about the teams that you need to watch for aside from the Detroit Lions. Of course, watch the Lions. But aside from the Lions, what teams do you need to watch for from here on out? First off, San Francisco. Super important. NFC West, we don't get to play them head-to-head. They're in the NFC West, so they're going to play some other NFC West teams, but they're sitting at 5-6. They can't win the division. That is a very important team when it comes to the wild card race. Next up, Minnesota. Minnesota may be the most important team left because, yes, you want to see how they finish off their season, but not only that, it's going to be the most important game we have left on our schedule. It may sound nuts. Minnesota, really? Minnesota is the most important game we have left. Just by scenarios, that is the most important game on our schedule. The last game of the year could decide a playoff spot. So that is why that team is super important. Arizona Cardinals, we had the head-to-head tiebreaker, but they lost yesterday to the Rams. They fell to 6-6. We're technically only a game behind them, and they actually dropped out of the playoff picture. And we already have the win over them, so that was big. Tampa Bay, not really if you're talking about just getting into the playoffs. Tampa Bay is that team that, hey, maybe we can get to the 6th seed. That's if you win out. If you don't win out, really no reason to talk about Tampa Bay. And finally, Chicago. Yeah, Chicago's still alive. Even though they're falling apart, they're still alive. So another team to watch out for. We have now split with Chicago on the season. So let's dive right into this thing. Let's start off with a 7-9 scenario. How can the Detroit Lions get into the playoffs at 7-9? Now, if you go 7-9, like I said, our most important game this season, the rest of the way, obviously they're all important, is this final matchup. It's beating the Minnesota Vikings. You got to beat the Vikings. The reason you got to beat the Vikings is, one, you have to get the split. 2, you need to improve your divisional record. When it comes to tiebreakers, it's head-to-head first, then it is divisional record. So for us, we need to make sure that we beat the Minnesota Vikings. We have to help our divisional record. Beating the Green Bay Packers will also help, but you have to beat the Minnesota Vikings here. So let's go by, here we go, let's do this. Let's go by win percentage, okay? Let's go back to week 13. This is another important game, Bills and 49ers. Really root for the Bills here. AFC, beat NFC. That's how it has to go. Now let's move on to week 14. Let's start off with this first 7-9 scenario. Let's say the Lions beat Green Bay and they beat the Minnesota Vikings. That puts them at 7-9 on the season. Now, here, let's take a look at the teams that we need to watch out for. First off, Arizona. You can see right now they're sitting at the 7th seed. If the Giants can beat Arizona. Now, this isn't actually impossible because, look, the Giants, top 10 defense, they just beat Seattle. They're 5-2 in their last 7. This is actually possible that they could beat a team like Arizona. Remember, this is a 7-9 scenario, so a lot of things are going to have to go right, but there still is a chance, okay? That's all that matters is there is a chance. There is a chance. Washington, San Fran. This could be a big game. You'll see weeks down. It could be. So we'll come back to that one potentially. Now let's move on to week 15. So we're saying we lose to Tennessee here. We would need some nice things to happen. So maybe a team like Philly goes out and beats Arizona. A team like Philly beats Arizona. Now you're thinking, why are we not in the playoff spot here? Right? Why would we not be in the playoff spot? We had the tiebreaker. We'd both be 7-9. Why are we not here? Vikings divisional record is better than ours. Okay, the Vikings divisional record would be too good. So let's say Chicago beats Minnesota. Well, now you see Chicago's in the playoffs. So now you'd have to be hoping for a scenario where maybe Chicago gets beat by a team like the Jaguars. Maybe Chicago, I think there's a game here. Maybe they get beat by the Texans. Maybe that's more realistic. Now you're in at 7-9. You're in at 7-9. So Green Bay and Minnesota, you'll only win those 2 games. You lose to Tennessee, you lose to Tampa Bay. That's just, one of a couple of scenarios that you could get in at 7-9. Let's say, is it even possible if the Lions, don't beat Green Bay next week? Let's say Green Bay wins. but then you come back and you beat, I don't know, let's say you come back and you finish off the season strong, you beat Tampa Bay, and you beat Minnesota to close out the season. The problem with this is now you're still behind Chicago because of their divisional record. So then you would need, okay, now you need a team like Minnesota to beat Chicago. Well, now all of a sudden Arizona's ahead because Minnesota is again ahead of you. It's not because we don't have the tiebreaker, it's because Minnesota's ahead. It's because of that dang divisional record. That's really what's hurting us right now, is that dang divisional record. So that's the problem. Realistically, if you're going to go 7-9 to get in, you pretty much have to beat Green Bay and Minnesota just to get your divisional record to 3-3. That's how you're going to have to do it at 7-9. It might be impossible to do it aside from that. It's nearly impossible to do it aside. There may be like some wild scenario out there, but it's nearly impossible to do it if you don't, beat your two divisional opponents, because your divisional record will just not be good enough. And you'd be asking for tons of upsets like the Jags to beat the Bears, just stuff that probably isn't very realistic. So really, if you're going to go 7-9, your 2 wins, they have to be pretty much Green Bay and Minnesota, and you'll have a chance. But you don't want to go 7-9. You want to go 8-8 at least. What if I only lose one more? How can I get in at 8-8? Are my chances over if I lose one game? No, they're not. Let's say Lions head into this weekend and they lose to Green Bay, but they bounce back strong and they win their last 3 games of the season. That would put them at 8-8. So let's go through it. Lions would beat Tennessee. Lions would then beat Tampa Bay, and the Lions would then beat Minnesota to finish off the year. That puts them, as you can see, at 9-7. Green Bay. Now you can see they're 8-8, so they're not in the playoffs right now. You can see who's there. It's Arizona. But the thing with this is the Lions would be, as you guys see, second in the division. So all we need now is a team like Arizona to just slip up one time. That's it. Just a team like Arizona just to get beat one time. And that could happen next week. Arizona's falling down. The Giants, like we said, they're picking it up. Let's say the Giants get to win. All of a sudden, the Lions are in the playoffs at 8-8. All of a sudden, you're in the playoffs at 8-8. But what if that doesn't happen? What if the Cardinals win that game? You just need an upset somewhere. Maybe the Eagles beat them. Lions are in the playoffs. Lions are in the playoffs just like that. Now, San Francisco starts to come into the equation if they beat a team like Arizona here, because now all of a sudden you see San Francisco's above them. And that's kind of the problem. If that would happen, okay, San Francisco beats Arizona, then you would need San Francisco to lose a game that maybe they're not necessarily expected to push you back into. Maybe they lose to a team like Dallas, and then all of a sudden you're back into the playoffs, right? So you can get in an 8-8. It's really about just Arizona losing one game that they're not supposed to. That's it. Arizona, just lose one game you're not supposed to. I can get in at 8-8 even if I lose this weekend. Okay, but what if we beat Green Bay? Okay, we beat Green Bay, but you know what? We lose to Tennessee. Okay, we lose to Tennessee. We beat Green Bay, but we lose to Tennessee. Now, that's an AFC team, so it gives us a better shot, I would say. It would give us a better shot because it's not an NFC team. But boom, it's kind of the same scenario here again. It's Arizona. It's really all then about Arizona. If you're going to get an 8-8, you just need Arizona to slip up at one place where they're maybe not exactly expected to, but who knows? I mean, I could see it. Arizona, you look at their remaining, they have the Rams, who they're expected to get beat by. You look at a team like San Francisco. Like, again, if San Francisco beats them, now all of a sudden, you see a team like the Lions get in. Now, you're probably wondering, why are the Lions all of a sudden getting in now above San Francisco? Well, because you have that conference win. You now beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are in the NFC. The tiebreakers go as head-to-head, then divisional, and then it would be by conference record. If you beat the Buccaneers and you lost the Titans, that's another NFC win. It's an AFC loss. So then all of a sudden, now you're above the San Francisco 49ers. So that's how 8-8 would get you in. 8-8, you either got to beat the NFC teams, and your only loss can come to the AFC team, or you need Arizona to slip up somewhere, not against the San Francisco 49ers, or then you need the 49ers to slip up. So 8-8, honestly, it's not that impossible. One loss is not going to kill this team. It's really not. You obviously want to win out, because if you win out, you really don't even need to do a scenario on this, to be honest with you. If you win out, there's a very good chance you're going to get into the playoffs. I mean, there's not many scenarios, honestly, where the Lions don't get into the playoffs. Now you're saying, can I potentially jump up a seed? That's the question. Because, you know what? If you go 9-7, you're pretty much in no matter what. No upsets given, you're pretty much going to get in. Now the question is, can Tampa Bay get beat somewhere? Because now you have the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay. So if Tampa Bay slips up one time, maybe they slip up to Atlanta, now all of a sudden you're the 6th seed. Now you jump a seed. You can't really get to the 5th seed. But if you could get them to slip up somewhere, maybe it's Minnesota, now all of a sudden you're the 6th seed. That's what you'll be looking for there. But honestly, if you win out, you're pretty much guaranteed to get into playoffs. It's pretty much guaranteed. The biggest thing here is if you go 8-8, you need to beat the NFC teams. If you go 7-9 or 8-8, you got to beat Minnesota. You just have to find a way to beat the Minnesota Vikings. If you lose to the Vikings your last game of the year, and you're trying to get in at 8-8, you win all your other games, but you lose to the Vikings, it's going to make it more difficult. Unless, again, a team like Arizona, they slip up to a team like the Giants, now Minnesota gets in above you, 8-8, and now you're hoping, okay, Minnesota, now you got to lose a game that you're not expected to. Maybe you lose Chicago. Well, great, now Chicago gets in the playoffs, and we're back to this crazy scenario. So you really have to beat Minnesota, because otherwise, you're hoping for a lot of things that aren't expected to happen, to happen. So you really have to beat Minnesota. This is going to be the game to watch. Can the Lions beat the Minnesota Vikings? So, can you get in 7-9? Yes, you just got to beat the right teams. That includes Minnesota. You got to beat Minnesota. And we've seen the other scenarios. You just have to beat the Vikings. Okay, it's the most important game left. No matter what your record is, you got to beat the Vikings. To get in the playoffs, you got to beat the Vikings. Is there a 6-10 scenario? I don't think so. I mean, we could try just to have some fun with it. I don't think we could get in at 6-10. Let's say the Lions, let's say the only game they won was Minnesota. Let's just have some fun with this. Only game you win is Minnesota. That would mean Arizona's at 9. Let's see how many upsets we can pull off here. Okay, so if the Lions only beat Minnesota, maybe you get San Francisco to pull the upset here. That puts San Francisco above. So then you would need a team like, okay, let's see. Then you would need a team like, maybe Philly to beat the Cardinals, and then you would need the 49ers to lose to Dallas. Now Minnesota's in the playoffs, so maybe you need, okay, let's see. So maybe Chicago beats Minnesota. Chicago's at 8-8, but Chicago loses to the Texans. That puts them at 7-9. Ooh, I don't know if this is going to be possible. Then they lose the Jags. Now San Fran's in, but what if the Cards beat the Jags? Well, the Cards would be 8-8 then, okay. You need, okay. I don't think there's a 6-10 scenario. I think 6-10 is impossible. I thought I'd try it, but I don't think you can do it because San Fran or Arizona will be taking it either way here, unless they tied. If they tie 2 games, I'm just saying it's up there. If they tied here, and this team ties, then the Lions are 6-10. It's still not good enough. Okay, I don't think you can get in at 6-10. So you got to at least win 2 games. And you got a chance. Not likely, but you got a chance. You just got to beat Minnesota. And if you can win those 2 divisions, if you can win Green Bay and Minnesota, you're in a beautiful spot. Because realistically, all you really need then is just 1 win. You just need 1 win beside the 2 to have a good chance to get in. 8-8, not impossible if you can beat Green Bay and Minnesota. Because if we beat Green Bay here and you beat Minnesota to finish off the year, now you're sitting at 7-9. And all you need, you can still get the 7-9. We just went through the scenarios. But all you would need then is a team like Arizona to slip up 1 time, which, again, I don't think it's much of a slip up to say that they could lose to the Giants. And then maybe you pull off a win over, I don't know, let's just say Tennessee. Where's Tennessee? I think Tennessee's week 15. Yeah, week 15. Boom. You beat Tennessee. Now you're in the playoffs. So Minnesota, Green Bay, bigger divisional teams. If you don't beat Green Bay, it's not out of it. You can get in 8-8 without beating Green Bay. I think you can get in 7-9 without beating Green Bay, but you got to beat Minnesota. So there you go. That is your playoff scenario. Can the Lions do the unthinkable? Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?